All right, we should be live. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to episode 5 of Our Life. It has been a while. Let me check the audio to see if it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. All right. Though I want the mic a little closer to me. All right. Now, let me check again. Yep. Now it's great. All right, all right. Cool. I've been craving this again because I was like, I need chill in my life. And whenever you need chill in your life, Our Life is a great, great answer to it. So, let's continue. I don't remember exactly where we left off, but I'll remember shortly as I click on this. Oy. All right. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She had a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Pursuing through. Morning, Mom. She looked at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks.
Good morning, James. Thank you for coming down. Oh, my phone's ringing. Give me a second. Sorry. All right. I'm back. Anyway, where were we? Good morning, James. Thank you for coming down. Sorry. 1 second. Okay. Ma's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house, just as she said Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder.
Oh?
Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average for an adult woman, so you were still little in her eyes despite being big for your own age. You let her do it? Yeah, you happily let her do it. Yeah, that type of small affectionate exchange was nice. She placed the whole of her hand on the top of your head for a second before lifting it back up. Ah, you're the last one down today, you know that? Let me sip a little of my tea. Black tea, sweet this time. Life isn't a race. Let's say that.
Funny.
I don't think that excuse will work if you're late for anyone other than your own mother, though. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. So the summer ended. And now this is like, we're adults now. Okay, cool. Oh, haha. Hello. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway as the longer strands of his hair idly drifted with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. It isn't. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. Wow, I love that. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. Cove smiled slightly at the sight of you. The sting of his goofy errand. He was clearly embarrassed to be on ease. Hey, James. I wanted that to be voiced. Why wasn't that voiced? Oh, because, well, it could have been, I was going to say because of the name, but it could have been like, hey, that could be nice. You earnestly grinned back. It wasn't weird at all, like it used to be when you were kids. As time passed, the two of you started to enjoy each other's company company. Now, you actually considered him a good friend and not someone you were forced to be around by your families. Hey, it's really nice to see you. Yeah, you too. And you were certain he meant that agreement. It was already shaping up to be another long summer with plenty of time for the two of you to have fun together. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. And with that, the gift was accepted. Well, that's everything. Though he said that, he made no move to go. You could tell he was reluctant to. Thanks, you are too cute sometimes. Thank you. I'm not feeling romancy with him yet. To your dad for buying it, and to you for bringing it over. It looks yummy. I'll tell him you said that. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics, and you'd since made up your mind on what your opinion was. He was nice, he was sort of funny, he was pretty weird, you didn't like him, he was great. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. I think that's his dad. There you are! You shared a confused look with Cove as both of you stepped through the door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek. Oh! I mean, that voice kind of suits Derek, I think. Just a few years down the road, he ran up to you. Well, I guess not, maybe he's not buff right now. You were happy at the sight of him. You were confused at the sight of him. You were happy. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin.
Hey.
Hey, my guys. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at James's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just here? Derek laughed at his own joke. He didn't notice. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was just was what he was actually laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This, it's kinda like a bouquet of flowers but made out of fruit.
Nice.
Nice! Can I have some? Sure, we can share. Derek grew more excited by your words, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Yep, that is true. The balls. Bouncing on balls, yes, of his feet. Awesome! Then he nodded his head, as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Oh wait, is that Baxter? Is that me? Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. I think this is me, guys. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself just walking. Did you talk to him? Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. Oh, never mind. It's green hair. Okay. It's not us. It's Jeremy, I think. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, and seemed like really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked slowly. You looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove. When you first got here anyway. Does it? He shook his head, dismissing the thought from his mind. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well, now that you say so. But, what did you say? What? What? Well, what did you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike? What? Oh, okay. But what did you say? Let's go find Luke's Cove-alike. Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him.
Sure.
Cove, why do you look so unimpressed? Sure. I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned. Then he pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off, with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true, he certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched up expression, he came off angry. You were curious about him and what he was so mad about. Derek must have felt the same as you. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey, guy, over here. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deeper onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong hostile energy still radiated from him.
What?
Oh my god. Tea time. You guys should hydrate too. What? What is it? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it?
No.
No, I'm Derek. That's James and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so you know, it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. What?
My parents.
My parents. They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own?
Right.
Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bear too. When he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time, a chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come to see them. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too?
I guess.
I guess. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they cared so much and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. Makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid. He kept quiet. He had no idea what to say, so he stayed silent. Jeremy didn't even notice, too focused on ranting. Did I get it? Wait. Oh, okay, cool. Never mind. How do they always make summer vacation worse every year? You turned to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed.
Stupid.
Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger, maybe both. Come on. What? No, Cove's wavy eyebrows are so cool. Yeah, they are. Cove smiled weakly. Now I know why you thought we had anything in common. You must be blind. Oh my god. You shook your head. It was pretty clear no words would penetrate Jeremy's armor of rage, but you still couldn't hold back your displeasure for his behavior. Wow, what is wrong with you? Wow, what is wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice. Wow, what is wrong with you?
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Wow, what is wrong with you? Wow. This is them. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and skulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over, until he became a speck in your vision. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what had just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding. And by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Oh no. Derek sighed in dismay. Plopping onto the ground, you followed. Plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
This sucks.
I was hoping we could meet someone fun. Hang out, maybe? He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But, you know what would really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You'd completely forgotten about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wave. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. Why not? Let's eat, yeah. Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away.
Are you sure?
You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime row of fruits. Cove grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were without a skewer of your own. Grape skewer, pineapple, strawberry. The strawberry was a bright red and beckoning you. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within moments. This is amazing. Cove continued munching on his, making a small noise with his mouth full. Hey, you two remember The Land Before Time? The fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked the leaves that were shaped like stars. Tree stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene with the pretty trees, and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. I love that movie. I've never seen it. I didn't like that one. That movie's for kids. Eating leaves looks good. Should I worry about you? Do you think things taste better when they're shaped like stars? He snickered. Not everything, but it probably helps. The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually, the display was barren. It looked weird when devoid of fruit. It did help make you feel better. Eating it all and it made you feel better. It helped. Derek was right. It was good you were already. It was so good you were already brightening up from the earlier drama. Hey James. Yeah? The two of you met eyes casually. Thanks for what you said back then. It's nice not everyone thinks like that guy. Oh, it's okay. He was just being a jerk. Derek chimed in strongly. Don't listen to it, Cove. He is the problem. People shouldn't say those kinds of things. Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh. So, are you both ready for summer break? Yeah, hell yeah. Cool on you. Wish I could say the same. It feels like there's a lot to plan for. And what about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Hey, James! You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden brought for us. Oh. She leered over you with arms folded. So, where is it? You're late, it's all gone. What do you mean, gone? You moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hands, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open, and the tone of her voice rose.
What?
Seriously, James? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced at Cove, who sat beside you, and continued mockingly. Even if you did have an in with the delivery boy, this was up to Mr. Holden. Cove gave you a bent smile of support, which didn't help disprove her accusation. Sorry, Elizabeth. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all placated. Oh no, I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around.
What?
What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek didn't bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. Followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. You ran, you stayed. I'm gonna run. Without a word, you two got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
They're so immature. She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his feet, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Exactly, but we should keep moving. Yeah, let's go. In case Elizabeth decides to come back after all, or that mean kid really is still around. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You had gotten a bit of a scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared even by your parents. What? It was declared even by your parents when everyone got back and the event was settled. Oh, okay. After that, Derek had rejoined you in the living room. He elected to stay outside for extra time so that you could face the potential scolding from your family without him witnessing the embarrassment. Derek was a guy you could count on. Dust had settled from the prior events and your moms went back to their room, so Derek was just taking it easy until his dad arrived. Mr. Suarez was meant to be there any minute to get Derek. Derek preferred not to sit, and instead took long, lazy strides in a circle around the edge of the rug, hands behind his back and head angled towards the ceiling. Derek looked like he might have been puzzling out a crime. He probably made a half dozen rounds when a solid knock struck your front door. That stopped Derek in his tracks. Dad's here. The both of you stepped towards the door in unison. You arrived first, since you'd had half a room. What? Since you'd had a half-room head start. Okay. When you'd pulled it open, only a crack. Someone zoomed in past you. Oh. The breakneck flash of a human was still entirely recognizable. It was Derek's littlest brother, Nicholas Suarez. He shouted triumphantly. Derek, we're still here. We're here. We're still here. When are we gonna leave? He was only 6, the tiniest kid around. Hot on his heels came the middle Suarez son.
Nicholas.
How do you say this? Jorge, maybe? Nicholas, we have to stay in the car. We're going home. We're not here to play. He was 10 and his patience was being tested. The youngest one frantically shook his head. It made his hair even messier than it already was. Nicholas's hair was as wild and free as he was. Hair clips and his parents' minivan couldn't contain the energy. Which might have been surprising considering he loved cars enough to wear a shirt covered in them. But you knew Nicholas loved Derek even more. Staying right where he was inside your house, at his even older brother's side, Nicholas gave Derek a hug. "I came to get you." Derek bent down to scoop Nicholas into his arms in a fond squeeze, though he kept his face tilted up to make eye contact with Jorge.
Hey.
"Hey, bros." Aw. Side by side, Mr. and Mrs. Suarez trailed in. The resemblance between the parents and their children was clear. Derek and Jorge were the spitting image of their father. Jorge was even sometimes called Junior, while Nicholas was a mommy's boy.
Good evening.
A good evening, James.
Hello.
Hello. You'll have to forgive the three-ring circus visiting town. The three-ring circus visiting town. The boys just had to come. Hi, don't worry about that. You're welcome here, yeah. The frown that had been stuck on Jorge's face finally eased up a little bit. How kind.
Goodbye.
But we can't stay. Thank you for letting Derek visit and tell your mothers I said hello. Okay. Come on, boys. All four of you now. Let's give this Morningstar, the Morningstar family their house back. Coming.
Yes, Mom.
Half of the group trotted forward with only a word. They went past Mrs. Suarez and out the door. She watched them go before surveying the situation with the most troublesome one. Nicholas was just bouncing around Derek as if he hadn't even heard his parents. Derek and his mom looked on with identical expressions of exhaustion tinged affection. When an opportunity opened up between hops, Derek carefully took hold of Nicholas's small hand. "Let's go to the car, Nico. You can sit next to me." Thrilled by the promise, Nicholas let out another cheer. "Yeah, let's go to the car." Let me have some tea. Mrs. Suarez left it there, trusting her eldest, and went to join Mr. Suarez and Jorge. Nicholas gripped Derek's black wristband with his free hand, stretching it outwards in his eager attempt to lead his bigger brother along. Derek stumbled forward with a chuckle, mostly to protect his band from being pulled too far rather than Nicholas actually having the strength to move him. But he made sure not to forget you. Derek said his goodbye from over his shoulder. "Bye, guy." "Good night." "Goodbye, everybody." Yeah. After their prompt entrance, an equally quick exit, the whole Suarez family was on their way home. You, however, didn't have anywhere to go. It was late enough that the rest of the day would be spent inside your own house. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin, Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Okay. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they'd moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's gonna wanna come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth too. But now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent time together. She was your only friend who was a girl. Being family helped make you close, but you had a lot of girlfriends. I don't know. I guess the second one. Even though you weren't a girl, you befriended them pretty well. This is true with me. You also had a lot of non-girlfriends. You didn't have many non-girlfriends. I mostly have girlfriends, actually. But I do have guy friends too. I don't know. Let's go with the second one. It seemed that was just the type of person you associated with most at school. Do I have a lot of guy friends as well? I have a lot of guy. I think the actual friends that I have mostly are girls, but I have a lot of people I know. So a lot of people I'm friendly with are also guys. I don't know. I'm getting too caught up into it. I don't care. Let's go with the second one. Who cares? It seemed that was just the type of person you associated with most at school. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Lee, finally! Lee, finally! Hi! Sorry about the wait, James. It took forever to get the phone away from my mom. That's okay. There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out, Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room.
Oh yeah.
You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which was why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. Your moms could be really unfair. No, you thought that made sense. You didn't like it, but it had to be that way. Yeah, sure. You weren't the only person here. If anyone could take the phone anywhere, anytime, it'd be an even bigger hassle. Yeah. You could easily imagine the receiver having a new forever home in Elizabeth's locked room. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You jogged up the stairs, taking two at a time, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. All right, I'm here. Cool. Hey, did you know the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they changed their mind. We could call each other every single day and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? You wouldn't call every single day when you had a phone. If you had a phone, you'd be like, I don't feel like calling. It's just, let me just DM you real quick, and then the DMs would gradually also stop. Trust me, it's better this way, Lee. Okay. But wouldn't I still be using a home phone? Too bad that's too far away. Really great. Anyway, we could even stay up late, talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver. At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to college, to go to a college. School was such a big part of your life right now. Studying didn't come easily to you, though you tried hard. You worked about as hard as most people. You got pretty average results. You didn't bother at all in school. Everything in your classes come easily to you. You worked hard. Your excellent grades. let's see. You worked about as hard as most people and got pretty average results as well. Let's go with that one. Let's not be too worried about school. You guess that was reasonable enough. You felt a lot of pressure to get higher grades than you did last year. You hope to do just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal to drop some. Yeah, that one. Grades weren't the most important thing, no matter how good or bad they ended up being. Yeah. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be
What's
fooled.
up?
You sound so spacey, what's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to going back. Let's make the petition for more vacation time. It's so awful, I hate going. Come on, it's too scary not to think about it. No matter how much you wanted to enjoy your free time, the creeping dread of knowing that it would come to an end was always there beside you. I get what you mean, though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. Learning new things can be cool. The gym is pretty great. It's the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood. Cafeteria lunches at my school could be better than they had any right to be. Could be better than they had any right to be. There's nothing good about school. The third one. If I didn't go to school, I'd never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Learning new things can be cool, sure. I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught the things, not just some people.
Me too.
That was all. That's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken.
All right.
Now, I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about this summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Like, I'm gonna visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. I want to spend time with people. Reading, catching more movies and TV. Probably spend time at the beach. Don't want to do anything. It's a vacation. First one. People. I hope that means me too. Of course. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her and you'd be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day. You sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like at your neighborhood? His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Creepy, mean, weird, kind of mean. Kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone, but especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away from before what? You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Oh. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Who are you to talk? Cove and Derek are always around. They're both boys, you know. That's true. He laughed at your affirmation, deeply amused. After a moment, you chuckled along with her. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open, a frown etched on her face.
Come on.
How long are you going to hog the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged on her hip. Tea time. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up. Gotta go, I'll see you soon, okay?
Bye.
Okay, see you. Tell Elizabeth and your mom I said hi too. You'd barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in the walks. In the wake, the walks. That was one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside, and you laid in bed, wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over at it, and with furrowed brows. From your vantage point, you saw only the moon and an open sky. You were scared, confused, annoyed, curious. Confused. What had caused that noise? Frowning, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You might as well find the reason behind the disturbance. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular, and some parts stuck out further than others, so it theoretically wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because somebody could didn't mean you expected it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were braced against the section of the wall that jutted out, his arms flexing with the effort to keep him upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside.
Hey.
Hi, James. What do you do? Romeo, no. What are you doing? Visiting? Why? I wanted to see you. I figured this was the only way. If I rang the doorbell, I know your moms would have answered and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean. But that's why I did that. And as unexpected as this was, we were touched. Cove felt like he could. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom, still is probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. You shouldn't have done that. Eavesdropping is bad. I would have done that too. You didn't comment on you. I didn't comment. There was other things to talk about. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cole was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened, varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. She's coming over here. Okay. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here, yep. You waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. Is she gonna do that? Yeah. She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories, or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon you were going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread. Before they'd barely stay in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna be all together again, the three of us, after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk. They can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out. And now I feel really bad for feeling this way. James, it's so... His fists tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes. You knew he was waiting for you to say something. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. This is hard to deal with. Yeah. Cove looked uncomfortable with the whole situation. He didn't want to have to open up like this. Thanks, and sorry for dumping this on you. I didn't know what to do. You were the only thing I could come up with. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the day started. You had woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude, and as if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that. It seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time, James? The sound of your name, said quietly, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. You knew some things were still good. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here, conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. You know, I think I don't want to talk anymore about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed at his arms. But I kind of don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn away? You can stay tonight, but we shouldn't make habits of this. I got a flashlight and some cards. Are you in? Of course, you can always stay here, Cove. Yeah. As if he even had to ask. Cove perked up at your response. A smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight, somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight, you were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. Who would have thought Cove would mean so much to you? You certainly hadn't in the beginning. You had kept your distance, and so had he. Now you considered him to be one of your closest friends. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read, though he didn't want to talk about it. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. You smiled gently at him. You put hands on his shoulder. You patted his neck. You hugged him. You smiled gently at him. You had no idea how to make him feel better, though you wanted to try anyway. Hopefully your presence was helping. Conversation was stilted and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. You opened your eyes, your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your peachy skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. How long have I been streaming? Almost an hour, okay. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day or stay snuggled up for a little while longer, until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still there in the morning. Cove, you jumped out of bed, you froze. Cove! Cove! He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. With your shout, Cove's eyes snapped open and his head slipped from its source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. You clamped a hand over your mouth and looked down at him with wide eyes, curled up where he had landed rather ungracefully. You laughed quietly. Cove gave you an unappreciative look. and you bit your lip to stifle your chuckling. If either of your moms found out Cove had slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in a panic as some thought that only could hear settled in his mind. Only he could hear.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! I fell asleep! You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room. 1 second. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step as you wanted to ask what he had been searching for. But you guessed he wouldn't know the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. It's gonna be alright. Wait, what were the other choices? Real quick, give me a second. We're gonna be... Oh no, it's gonna be alright, yeah. You just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew, you would have heard about it already. Cove nodded. His shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all this had played out, but hoped that was true. Yeah, see you later, Cove. At that, he glanced at you once more. The expression was placid. In all the panic, he was stopped ever so briefly by a moment of clarity. Thanks again. You're a good friend, James. He firmly whispered the words so there was no room to doubt he even meant it. So there was no room to doubt he meant it. 1 second. Alright. But he turned away from you before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. You wished him luck. Yeah. Good luck, don't fall off my roof. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other, with increasing speed until his form disappeared out of your sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go, to try keeping watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped down to the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window, deciding there was nothing more you could do. You hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. You put on your slippers, you checked yourself in the mirror, you made your bed. Let's make our bed. It was a habit of yours. You straightened up your sheets, smoothed over your comforter, and fluffed your pillows before stepping back and admiring your work. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. One second. Okay. Oops. Okay. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger onto the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked over. That look, man. She looked you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting. Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. Your eyes flickered left and right as you sidestepped her and headed towards the kitchen. James? You shrugged it off. Yeah. I'm not. You spoke so nonchalantly you almost thought she believed you. But you know better. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something, but ultimately, she rolled her eyes and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't notice to care enough. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today, you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. He had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made: hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. Damn. Let's take a bit of everything. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was variety in your meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. Well, with that, we will leave the stream here. It was an hour stream, kinda short, kinda. You know, it's not like 3 hours, but 3 hours is kind of long too. But anyway, it was nice. It was chill. Thank you all so much for hanging with me. We'll continue next time with more Our Life or something else. Kisses, and I'll see you in the next stream or video. Bye.